Hello, and welcome to Immigration Talk, a space where we hear from an expert on matters related to the immigration industry, law and policy, and practice. I'm Rosalie Van Staldeinen, and joining me is immigration lawyer Joel Sandaluk. Welcome, Joel.
Thanks for having me.
Always a pleasure. Joel, how might immigration practitioners best leverage AI in their practice, and what are some of the common pitfalls to avoid?
AI is an incredibly powerful tool in legal practice. It's something new that we're still trying to learn the contours of and how to use it. But it's been pretty clear to us that there's a few things that AI does exceptionally well. One of those things is drafting. AI as a drafting tool can be very, very efficient when it comes to preparing summaries, when it comes to editing text that you've written. There's a lot of ways to use AI to make yourself a more effective written advocate. One of the other things it allows you to do is to review documents very quickly and very effectively. Large documents, for example, voluminous GCMS notes, appeal records, even substantial court decisions from the Supreme Court or another foreign court can be very quickly reviewed, summarized, or even questioned by you as you're reviewing those documents. So for example, if you're reviewing hundreds of pages of text chats between your clients, you can ask your AI to pinpoint particular dates or particular issues that occur in those chats, and then use that information to do the research more directly firsthand yourself. Another thing that AI can be very useful for is client communication. Uh, you have to be very careful about how you use this, but as you review client information, as you respond to emails, you can use AIs to help you respond to their communications more quickly, more effectively. A tool like AI Writer can be very useful when it comes to drafting correspondence, either with clients, with immigration, or with tribunals, in order to make sure that your point is being very clearly made while not taking too long and definitely not missing anything that is key or significant to the point you're trying to get across. The trick, I suppose, with this type of communication is that AI generated text becomes recognizable to people after they've seen more and more. And there's a lot of tells. So it's very important that although you can use AI Writer or other types of AIs in order to help generate text or responses to correspondence, it's also very important that you review it yourself before anything goes out the door to make sure that whatever you've said is exactly what you want to say, and also that the voice is authentically your own. Another thing that's very important is legal research. It's an important part of legal research to use AIs, whether it's searching things on the internet, whether it's reviewing case law or other types of policy that is available to you as a practitioner, in order to make sure that you can get this information. But it's always very important when you're doing this research to make sure that your AI is directing you to the source of the information rather than simply generating a response. It's important to remember that AIs don't necessarily search for the right answer to your inquiries. They search for a common answer or a popular answer to your inquiries. So if you allow an AI to, or if you're overly reliant on an AI, what may happen is you may not get the information you're seeking. And this is something that we see with clients who use AI to ask legal questions, and oftentimes ask the wrong questions and receive answers that simply aren't applicable to their case. And this kind of leads into some of the pitfalls with AIs. One of the problems with AIs in many cases, especially when it comes to research, is the problem of hallucination. AIs can fabricate case law, legal policies, regulations out of whole cloth. And the problem with AI is that it's not necessarily immediately recognizable to you that something has been invented or made up. So anytime you get some information from AI, whether it's a leading case or a policy, it is always very important to go to the source yourself and satisfy yourself that the AI hasn't generated something or hallucinated something in order to give you an answer that it believes that you will find pleasing. Another important thing to bear in mind, and something that I've always been very mindful of, is issues surrounding client confidentiality and privilege. The problem with AI is that once information goes into the ether, it's very difficult for us to understand what happens to it and who, if anyone, has access to it. It's pretty well known that AIs generate their information by scraping the internet for data, including data contained on other AIs. So one of the things I'm very wary of is whatever it is that I put out onto an AI platform, who, whether it's a corporation or a government, will be able to later access that information and possibly do something that is prejudicial to my client as a result. One of the workarounds I have for this is that I only upload information into an AI that is already a matter of public record. So, for example, an appeal record in a public proceeding is a matter of public record. Information, news articles, other resources relating to a claim for refugee protection is already in the public record, even more broadly than it is than I'm doing. So that's sort of at least my immediate workaround in order to address concerns about client confidentiality. One of the other things, though, that it really ultimately comes down to, and I guess you can summarize all of the pitfalls, is a species of over-reliance on AIs. One of the things that we have to remember as practitioners is that the thing that makes us valuable to our clients isn't so much our knowledge. One of the things that we've all recognized is that our knowledge can very quickly become outdated with a new decision, a new policy, or a new practice by immigration. And if you wait, suddenly you'll be practicing a completely different area of law than your colleagues who've maybe kept up with the times. What you bring as value to your clients is your sense of perspective, your sense of judgment, and also your sense of accountability to them. And AI can't do any of that. So it's very important that as you use an AI and as you work with that tool in order to make sure that you are able to deliver the best possible service to your clients at the best possible price, that you don't become so reliant on the AI that you really, what's happening is your own judgment is being essentially taken out of the equation, and what is being left is something that the clients could largely do for themselves. So that's sort of the main pitfall of AI that gives me the most pause and the most concern. And it's something that I think all practitioners have to be absolutely alive to as they're experimenting with it, as they're using it, and as they're dedicating more and more of their practice to working with AI in order to, generate meaningful solutions to their clients.
Well, thank you, Joel, for sharing your insights on this ever-evolving reality of artificial intelligence. Thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Let's talk again.